Welcome to the Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. Republican senators killed Democrats' election bill again. They made good use of the filibuster to the frustration of the Democrats. The Biden administration is looking to vaccinate children 5 through 12 as soon as the CDC approves a vaccine for that age group. Parents in Michigan are suing Attorney General Merrick Garland to stop him from using the FBI to investigate them as domestic terrorists. And a Texas sheriff is taking the border crisis in hand, at least in his county. Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look together. Republican senators filibustered the election bill on Wednesday, preventing the legislation from getting the 60 votes needed to get it to the floor for debate. The bill would require groups to disclose information about their donors, name Election Day a national holiday, and set federal standards for mail-in ballots, early voting, and voter ID cards. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer criticized the Republican vote, and every Republican senator who had just blocked the Senate from debating Americans' rights to free and fair elections. The vote was not surprising, as Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell made it clear that his caucus would not support the bill, and that he expected Republicans not to support the bill that he denounced as an effort to federalize voting laws and take over all of America's elections themselves. He said that the bill retains the same fraud loopholes as previous failed versions, including still subjects popular common sense state election integrity protections like voter ID to the whims of federal bureaucrats, still allows same-day voter registration and unwarranted mail-in voting, still provides government funding to political campaigns, and still places Washington in the middle of state redistricting decisions. This is the third time this year that Democrats have tried to overhaul voting laws, and the third time that Republicans have succeeded in blocking them. Democrats have insisted that voting rights are under attack across the country as states strengthen their voting laws. Laws that strengthen voter ID requirements or restrict absentee voting affect minorities, an argument the Supreme Court rejected in 2021. Republicans, on the other hand, have said they are concerned about the real threat of election fraud. McConnell and Senator Ted Cruz stressed the importance of allowing states to control their own elections rather than having the federal government intervene. Alfredo Ortiz, president of the Job Creators Network, said that Republicans have prevented a federal takeover of elections. He praised Senate Republicans for recognizing the dangers of the blatantly corrupt bill and urged them to remain united as the Senate voted to advance Pelosi's power grab on Thursday. He called the Democrat-sponsored Freedom to Vote Act the Freedom to Cheat Act. The White House on Wednesday unveiled a plan to vaccinate children aged 5 to 11 with the COVID-19 vaccine once it is authorized by the FDA and the CDC. The Biden administration said it had purchased enough vaccines to vaccinate all 28 million children and will be distributed in smaller doses with smaller needles to make it easier for pediatricians and pharmacists to give injections to children. The FDA and the CDC are expected to approve the vaccine within a few weeks. The Vaccine Advisory Committee of the FDA and the CDC will hold important meetings on October 26th and November 2nd, respectively, to review Pfizer's children's data, and the agency leaders will then make a decision. Yet doctors on the approval panel expressed concerns about heart inflammation. Dr. Overlevy told CNBC last week, as we go into younger and younger age groups, they're less and less at personal risk of severe COVID. And on the other hand, somewhat more at risk of this inflammatory heart condition with the mRNA vaccine. He added, so it's a risk-benefit analysis, and that's why you're seeing that deliberation. Dr. Marty Makary wrote that the risk of death from COVID-19 is concentrated in children with pre-existing conditions such as obesity. Preliminary data suggests that of the more than 330 COVID-19 deaths in children under 25 years of age, most or nearly all were in children with pre-existing conditions. For children with comorbidities, the case for vaccination is compelling. But what about healthy children? Makary continued to write that according to the CDC, the risk of hospitalization from COVID-19 in the week ending July 24, 2021 was 0.3 per 1 million for children ages 5 to 17. And in the same age group, the risk of hospitalization for myocarditis or inflammation of the heart muscle after a second vaccination is about 50 to 1 million. Given the data, this move is raising widespread concern among parents, obviously. Parents in a school district in Saline, Michigan have sued Attorney General Merrick Garland for his decision to use the FBI to intervene in reports of violence against school staff. The American Liberty Law Center is a conservative law firm that represents Saline, Michigan parents in a lawsuit filed on Tuesday. The lawsuit states that the parents are seeking preliminary and permanent injunctions to prohibit the Attorney General using federal law enforcement resources to suppress parents and other citizens who openly oppose the divided, harmful, immoral, and racist policies of the progressive left. These policies are being implemented by school boards and school officials in public school districts across the United States, including public schools in Saline, Michigan, and Loudoun County, Virginia. This civil lawsuit aims to protect the basic rights of parents' freedom of speech, to guide their children's education, and to avoid illegal discrimination based on their political and religious beliefs and opinions. The lawsuit goes on to say, contrary to the Attorney General's false assertion, there is no widespread criminality at school board meetings where parents and concerned citizens have expressed their opposition and outrage to the progressive agenda being forced upon their children in the public schools. The lawsuit continues. It fails to account for the fact that the First Amendment protects political dissent, even dissent that rises to the level of intimidation or harassment. The lawsuit also says the Justice Department has no jurisdiction to interfere with the affairs of parents and local school boards. Following Garland's memo, 11 state-level school boards associations severed ties with the National School Board Association over its letter to the Attorney General. On Tuesday, the Supreme Court once again thwarted opponents of COVID-19, signaling that the justices were unwilling to re-examine the landmark Jacobson versus Massachusetts case of 1905 and the 1922 Zutt versus King case. In the Jacobson case, the court ruled 7-2 that a state has the right to enforce laws on compulsory vaccination. The vaccination involved was against smallpox. A religious challenge to the COVID-19 vaccine mandate, which is set to take effect in Maine on October 29th, was rejected by Associate Justice Stephen Breyer. After the First U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals rejected an earlier emergency appeal, the unnamed plaintiffs who said they were health care providers opposed to vaccination for religious reasons filed an emergency appeal for an exemption. The First Circuit ruled against the health care providers shortly after Breyer's decision. They can now appeal to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court's recent decision suggests they are unlikely to succeed. Breyer's ruling is the third time this year that the Supreme Court justice has ruled against opponents of the COVID-19 vaccine mandate, and those rulings crossed ideological lines. On October 1st, liberal Associate Justice Sonia Sotomayor refused to ban the vaccine mandate for New York public school teachers, and conservative Associate Justice Amy Coney Barrett refused to halt the August mandate at Indiana State University. Breyer's decision is the first time the Supreme Court has weighed in on a statewide COVID-19 vaccine mandate. According to a new Quinnipiac poll released Tuesday, 78% of Republicans surveyed said they want Trump to attempt a third run for the White House in 2024, while only 16% of Republicans want to see another candidate. In stark contrast, 94% of Democrats and 58% of independent voters said they want the former president to sit out the next election cycle. This recent poll further highlights Trump's strong hold on the Republican Party after the 2020 presidential election. This new poll comes as Trump continues to hint at a possible 2024 presidential run, holding massive rallies across the country. It shows that Trump remains the overall favorite of the Republican Party as other potential candidates consider a presidential run. And coming up, a Texas sheriff is taking the border crisis in hand. But before we continue, I just want to stress how important it is as the viewer to help us get the truth out to as many people as possible. Please take the time to like this video and share it across your social media. Also, double check and make sure you are still subscribed to the channel and click the bell so that you can be notified every time we post a new video. I'd like to thank you all for your continued support. Okay, my friends, let's get back to the show. President Joe Biden's southern border crisis is a crisis that has spiraled out of control. Sheriff Brad Coe of Kinney County, Texas, has decided that if Biden isn't going to put together a team to handle the crisis, the sheriff will take matters into his own hands. The federal government's failure has left local law enforcement along the border with no choice but to do just that. The southern border of the United States is indeed seeing an unprecedented rush of traffic as illegal immigrants try to cross in record numbers. In an interview with the Gateway Pundit on Monday, Coe announced that he would be appointing 10 local citizens to help his county out of the crisis. He's looking for people who have some kind of military or police experience to form a border patrol and plans to build a fence around the county. Sam Hall, founder and president of the militia group Patriots for America, has been in Kinney County for the past week. Hall said that by the end of this week, he will have about 40 people deployed in the county, and by about October 26, there will be a total of 100 people, with more coming. As a militia, they can't detain or arrest people. They can disrupt and obstruct until the county or Texas Department of Public Safety can get there. He said the militia was self-funded, but members had to take leave to join. They would not leave until they knew the county was safe. Over the past few months, the border crisis has continued to worsen. In August, the catch and release policy used against illegal immigrants during the Biden administration grew by 430,000 over the previous year, detaining 195,000 illegals and releasing 43,900 of them into the United States. Compared to the same period last year, the Trump administration apprehended 47,000 illegal immigrants and released only 10 into the United States. The increase from 10 to 43,900 is staggering and does not even take into account the many illegal immigrants that the Biden administration failed to catch due to its lax border enforcement policies. The Biden administration's border crisis has also allowed large quantities of drugs to infiltrate the United States from Mexico. According to Cochise County, Arizona, Sheriff Mark Daniels said they have seized 10,000 pounds of fentanyl, 180,000 pounds of meth, 86,000 pounds of cocaine, 5,000 pounds of heroin, and 311,000 pounds of marijuana entering the United States through the southern border this year. With his empty words and inaction, Biden has shown that his administration will not be stopping this border disaster anytime soon. Hope for a solution to the crisis lies with local officials like Sheriff Coe, who are doing their best to protect the people. And that's it for today, my friends. Check out the playlist right here for more eye-opening content. You can join me in the Eye Opener Telegram chat room and follow me on Newmaker, Gab, Parler, and Getter. Now don't forget, please sign up to the email list so that we can stay in touch. I'd like to thank you all, and I'll see you next time.